Hi, I'm Dr. R.G. Allen Wilson. You may recognize me as a leading relationship expert for TV programs such as CNN, The Today Show, Good Day Philly, Fox 29, Tamron Hall Show, Mel Robbins Show, and local and national radio shows, just to name a few. I want to invite you to a very awesome opportunity that will enhance your life. Having courageous conversations that connect is key for a healthy relationship with ourselves and others. Knowing the right strategies and techniques aren't as simple as we think. There are principles to understanding how we all think and feel. Right now, you can join in my free quarantine talks to learn what others spend thousands of dollars in therapy to know. Each day, while we are in quarantine at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can watch, listen, and learn tips that will help you get through this challenging time in our lives. Here's the good news. There is absolutely no cost for you to participate. Tune in on YouTube, Facebook, and the Gram at Ask Dr. RG. I look forward to seeing you join our crew, and that's connecting relationships for epic wins. Have a beautiful day on purpose, from my heart to yours. All right, Morgan just came in and said mute myself, but normally it does it automatically. So I'm not sure why the commercial came on and it didn't do it automatically, but my apologies to everyone. We'll start again. This is what happens sometimes in live time. Okay, so I don't know why it didn't mute itself or unmute itself on it automatically, but this is RG, Dr. RG, yours truly. Welcome to Courageous Conversations Connect Space, Quarantine Talks. Welcome. This is September 9th, 2020. Believe it or not, I can't believe it. It's after Labor Day. We just celebrated Labor Day. All those people who are, working out there, toiling and making sure that, we have a nice place to live or trash to be picked up. Some people did not get a break on Labor Day. They didn't barbecue. They were actually working in celebration of Labor Day. This, believe it or not, is our 75th episode. 75th episode since we started this journey together in our crew. So listen, buckle up. It's going to be a great show. Make sure that you tag a friend. Make sure that you share this video. Make sure that persons who might not be able to watch this in real time, they'll be able to see it, just as you, our crew, is able to see it. And if you, feel so inclined, please let them know that we have a YouTube page. It's at the Ask Dr. RG, AskDrArgie YouTube page. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, and let folks know that you're here. I see Billy Joe. Thank you for letting me know that I was muted. I see Jen. Good morning. I see Stephanie. Welcome. Yes, it is Hump Day. Charlotte, welcome. And I see Dr. Gail. Welcome also, IG family, our Facebook family, our YouTube family. Listen, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come right back. I want to let you all know that this week we're talking about fit for the fight. Fit for the fight. So I want you all to be thinking about that. And specifically today, we're talking about the fight of our lives, getting ready. All right. And so think about that as we take a quick break, and also think about who you are going to be breathing with when we come back and go into our breathing exercise. Don't leave us. We'll be right back. Stay with us. I love that music. All right. Good morning, guys. Again, this is RG, Dr. RG, yours truly. Welcome to Courageous Conversations Connect Space Quarantine Talks. Although we are not quarantined per se anymore, there's still danger out there, right? And we still have to be cautious. There's a lot going on in the world for sure. So we definitely have a lot to talk about. This is our 75th episode for those of you who are just joining, and it is September 9th, 2020. We just got finished Labor Day, right? Many of the children started going back to school yesterday. Probably I saw a lot of pictures on Facebook where people were going first day back to school. I know that some schools are doing a hybrid. Some schools are actually doing just online distance learning. Some schools are having their young people come into the classroom and coming up with certain protocols. So it's going to be challenging. And there is lots of challenging things to go around. We know that college students started a couple of weeks ago, and they've already shut down and started doing straight distance learning or online learning, many of those colleges, because, of course, young people are going to party. I'm not sure why. We expected young people not to hang out and connect with each other and party. That's kind of what young people like to do, and that's what they're really wired to do. So to expect that they're going to go onto their college campuses and not do that is interesting to me. I did hear some protocols that were pretty cool. Like, for example, some of the college students, their protocol is that when they come, they actually have to stay quarantined for 14 days in whatever their pod is, their dorm room, only coming out to go to the restroom and staying in their room with their roommates or their apartments with the roommates. And then after the 14 days, then they can come out on campus, take classes, but they can't go off campus, maybe even to a store for groceries and things like that for a full month. So groceries are delivered, things like that. So that seems to be a nice protocol. I think they're kind of creating a little bit of a bubble for college students. That's what they're trying to do to see if they can get to Thanksgiving. And then I think they're going to sort of reevaluate at that point and then determine whether the kids will come back for the winter semester or quarter. So we'll see how that goes. So I want to, as we're going into our breathing exercise, there's a lot of people to breathe for, quite frankly. So I'm breathing for the moms. You all let me know in your chat who you're breathing for. I'm breathing for moms and dads, parents who are concerned and anxious about their kids going back to school. Also on the IG family, you all let us know who you're breathing for and with as well. I am breathing for the children who have some anxiety as well and the young adults. And I am really breathing for a classmate's family of mine, a grade school classmate. Her name is Karen Robinson, and her daughter was killed. Her daughter's name was Jasmine Lewis. A couple of weeks ago, she was a star basketball player for a college in upstate Pennsylvania. Can't remember the name of the college, and she was actually going to start. She was going into her junior year. She was going to start playing basketball in New York, and she was literally just driving down the street, and a random bullet went through her car window and shot her and killed her. Literally, she's just driving down. So the gun violence is on fleek, and we need to figure out how to do something different. This is not working because Black and brown people are being assaulted and killed by both police officers and people in blue, right? They're unarmed, but we're also in the hood or in the community killing each other. And we've got to figure out, we can't be in a fight. That's why I really wanted to talk this week about the fight, because we're in a fight on all sides, and it does not feel good. Listen, if you feel so inclined, please make sure that you like our page. Make sure that you go to the YouTube page, hit the subscribe button, share this post, also the video as well, and let other people know that we're on Tag a Friend. Jen says, I'm breathing for the teen that was killed with autism. Enough is enough. I heard about that, yes. This is why we need to vote like our life depends on it, because it actually does. I'm truly devastated. It's truly devastating. Yeah, so that's happened quite a bit. There was Jen's talking about a mother who called about the teen. I'm not sure, I didn't read through the whole article. I'm not sure if the teen is actually killed or whether the teen is injured. Neither, it doesn't really matter. The teen was shot and had autism and was acting out simply because he was having some separation anxieties because the mother was going back to work after having been off for a while and was trying to adjust to that. She called the police was hoping to get a team that understood how to manage her teen, and she gave them all the information about what was going on, what his disability was, how he was struggling, and basically said that he was not armed, and they shot him anyway, right? So, not okay. Let's pray for and breathe for that family as well. All right, so you guys, we're going to get into our position, your middle finger on your thumb, your hands over one hand over the next or on your sides. Kind of put your feet to the floor, kind of relax your back if you can. You all know that we breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth. We breathe in oxygen and out carbon dioxide, but we also are breathing in, as we're doing this exercise, hope and love and peace and serenity and calm. Boy, do we need it. And then we're breathing out fear and worry and pain and frustration and anger and resentment. So Jen says she loves this exercise. I do too. And it helps to ground us, right? So I encourage all the crew, connecting relationships for epic wins. Continue to do this throughout the day. If you're feeling a little tense, tap into and do a body scan, tap into where your anxiety is. My anxiety is right here, usually in my chest. I can feel the tenseness in my chest usually, or in my throat sometimes. And if you feel and you tap into that anxiety, this breathing exercise will readjust the chemicals in your body. It will readjust the parasympathetic nervous system, right, that controls everything. It will decrease the cortisol levels and increase sometimes the serotonin levels and the dopamine levels that allow us to feel more grounded. Stephanie says she's breathing for Jacob Blake. I heard him speak the other day. He spoke so wonderfully. And I do believe that he will have it. He has a voice now, and he has a platform, and he can speak to what his experience has been like, and perhaps maybe we can get on board with a mission to end this violence. All right, let's go, guys. The sound of my voice. I'm going to count to 3, and we're going to breathe in. We're going to hold it for 8 seconds in honor of George Floyd. We know that the knee was on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, and then 2 minutes and some seconds after the last breath left his body, after he said, "I cannot breathe," and he called for his mother. So we're going to talk about that too today. All right. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in. And out. Breathe in. And out. Breathe in. And out. Feel it in your belly. Breathe in. And out. Last time, make it count, crew. Breathe in. And out. Excellent. Very good. Very good. Keep doing that, guys. Keep doing that. It will help to ground you. Mama Stokes, good morning. Welcome to the show. She says she's breathing for all of us gathered here under your voice. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, crew. You all just don't know. You do as much for me as I do for you. I pray that this connection will expand and that our territory will be increased. That this message is not just for us, but this message is to be reverberated out there to whomever it is intended for to receive it, right? We got a good message today. We're going to have a good conversation today. Good morning, Elizabeth. I should say good morning, Dr. Liz, because Dr. Liz defended her dissertation. She's one of my students from Drexel University. She's gone on. I'm not sure exactly where Dr. Liz is living, got married, had 2 children. She was single when I first met Dr. Liz. At the time, she was in our graduate program. And now recently I saw on Facebook that she has just recently defended her dissertation, and she is now a doctor. She has a PhD in couple and family therapy, is doing the darn thing. And I so appreciate and am honored to have been a part of your journey, Dr. Lizzie, we call her. Oh, she's in Minnesota. You got to tell us what's going on in Minnesota. I know that that's a little bit of a hot spot these days, right, Dr. Lizzie? But again, congratulations. All of our crew wish you well. And we know that you are going to continue to be a change agent and a difference maker in your community, helping people in the world of therapeutic intervention and mental health. So thank you. Thank you for joining us. So listen, guys. All right. So this topic today, all week we're talking about fit for the fight, right? And I was actually listening to it wasn't a podcast, it was a sermon by T.D. Jakes. I was sort of thinking about some material for us to talk about this week. And I came across a sermon that was actually entitled Fit for the Fight. Morgan's really been utilizing that term for quite some time anyway. Fit for the fight. Are you fit for the fight? Are you fit for the fight? Well, we talked about this quite a few weeks ago, what that looks like. And specifically today, we're talking about the fight for our lives, right? Because I really feel like that's what's happening. I feel that we are in the fight for our lives. I feel like the Black and brown people, of which I am a part of that community, we're in a fight for our lives, right? We've been dealing with 401 years of systemic racism and social injustice and inequities and exclusion from having a seat at the table, where the policies are legislated in order for our communities to not just survive, but to thrive. And we've just had enough, right? And so when I think about whether our lives matter, which we know they do, but the truth is sometimes I do believe that we get tired. And I believe that sometimes when you're continually fighting, when you're continually in this constant movement of fighting for your rights and fighting for your livelihood and fighting for your family, we get tired. And the question is, sometimes maybe we're not as prepared as we think that we are, right? We know that the violence is on fleek. We know that we're in a crisis. We're in a mental health crisis. We're in a public health crisis. We're in an economic crisis. We're in a crisis in our educational system. We're in a crisis in our criminal justice system. We're in a global warming crisis. Like, there are enough problems to deal with. Hey, Teen is on, my sister from another mother. She's here with us as well. So thank you for joining. We are in a fight, and we've had some icons that have left us. They sort of passed the baton to us, right? John Lewis, he left us. I think about that. When John Lewis left us last month, 2 days before he died, he actually wrote a letter to the young people, basically saying, don't quit. Don't get too frustrated. Don't get too tired. Don't check out. Don't quit. This fight is for you, and we are depending on you for this leg of the journey. Can you imagine that? I want you all to envision that. You know your time is coming. You know that the transition is about to happen. Most people who, if you talk to them, people who are at the end of their life journey here on this planet, when you talk to them, they say to you that they usually know. They know, like they can feel that zeal, the energy from their body leaving them. And he mustered up enough energy to write a message, just like Paul, right? If you're spiritual, like Paul wrote the letter to the Ephesians, and wrote many letters when he was incarcerated about his journey, when he got to the end of his journey. So that's what John Lewis did. And then there were some other icons like Elijah Cummings and, even Chadwick Boseman, who was not a politician by any stretch, but he played figures that were iconic, like Jackie Robinson and James Brown. And he was about to play, I believe, there was another icon that he was about to play. I don't think that he had played that person, and the name escapes me now. And of course, he played Black Panther, if you will. And so this fight that we're in against police brutality and against oppression and against racism and against depression, have you ever thought about the fact that we're all in it together? Like, I think we had a guest on the show last week, my friend Lauren Kahn, who had shared that, we're all in the storm, right? We're just sort of in different boats. And we need to ask ourselves the question, where, what, when, for, and who are we fighting? When I was listening to T.D. Jakes early this morning, he said, it doesn't matter what package you come in. And I really hadn't thought about it that way. And he talked about the black package or the brown package or the white package. What about the Native American package or the rich package or the middle class package or the poor package? Or maybe you're married or you're single, or whether maybe you have a job or you don't. Maybe you have kids or you don't have kids. What he was basically saying is nobody escapes the fight. None of us. You can't dodge it. You can't get around it. You can't get over it. You can't avoid it. There's no way out of it. For all of us, it's just a different kind of fight. I say it this way. We're all either in the middle of a storm, we're leaving out of a storm, or we're going into one. But there's no escaping the storm or the fight. And so the question becomes, are you fit for it? Are you fit for it? Or we can look at it like this. What are you getting ready for? Are you getting ready for it? So, and Morgan can probably, speak to this a lot more than I can speak to it with regards to training, because I'm not really a gym rat. He's into working out and pumping iron and all those kinds of things. I should do better at that. I don't know how many of y'all will go on admit in the crew that you probably have some areas that you could work on. And for me, I started eating better. I started hydrating, drinking my water. I'm trying to get my rest. I am actually taking my vitamins. I'm eating more veggies. I'm doing all those things. So one thing that I've kind of still been challenged with is working out. So I'll go on and admit that. So that could be helpful for me. And I'm reminded of a friend of mine from church who I asked one day, because she works out, and I asked her, I said, do you like working out? And she said, not really. I said, well, why do you do it every day? You're up at 5 a.m, you're running and you're, jogging and you're working out. Why do you do it? And this is a person actually who has an autoimmune disorder, right? I won't say her name because that's, she hasn't given me permission to share that information. But she said something that was really, really powerful to me. She said, I don't work out every day for the here and now. I work out every day to prepare my body for the fight when it comes my way down the line. Whatever curveball life is going to throw my way, I want to be ready. And I guess I want to submit to you guys, hey, Cynthia, good morning. I want to submit to you guys that sometimes the fight comes our way and we're not ready. We're not prepared. We're not properly trained. We don't have the necessary information that we need. So I'm going to ask you these questions, and I want you to really think about this for yourself and for your family. We've had 6 months of this pandemic of COVID-19, and we've had 401 years of slavery, systemic racism. I call it slavery because sometimes, whether it's modern day slavery or slavery years ago, it's still slavery, systemic racism. 401 years. That should teach you something. That should teach us something. What have we learned in this pandemic? Because I got to be honest, sometimes what I see, and this is no shade on people, because I believe that people have to search their own conscience and do what they need to do. But we just got through Labor Day. I saw lots of people out with no masks. I saw lots of people on beaches and hanging out and having parties as if we're not in a pandemic, as if we're not in a crisis. And my thought about that is this virus has no discriminatory target. It doesn't care. It actually is looking for a host to set up residence, to be a super spreader. They're even more, this virus, I can surmise that the virus is even happier and more content if it finds actually a host where it can be asymptomatic and that host can be a super spreader. Because what that means is that then person can go around not realizing that they have it and be spreading it, very much like systemic racism. So ask yourself the question. Charlotte says she loves working out. You could teach me a few things then, Charlotte. And then Jen says that she's got her prayer line. I can't ever get on Jen's prayer line because I work until 10 o'clock at night seeing clients, but she always posts that. So if you are interested in her prayer line, please share, just get her passcode and information and definitely join. I'm sure that it will bless you. So 5 questions. Are you trained for the fight? Are you prepared for the fight? Do you have faith for the fight? Who is with you in your fight? And what are you fighting for? And I said 5, but I meant 6. And what are you fighting against? I'm going to say that one more time, just so that you all can kind of process that in your own head. And I want you to, our crew, because this is interactive, this is engaging, this is a dialogue with everybody in the crew, not a monologue. So I want to engage with you. Posit in your mind these questions and share in the chat if there's any one of these particular questions that resonates with you that you've already either figured out or that you're still working on. You're still trying to figure it out. And if you've actually thought about it, tell us what you're doing. So are you trained for the fight? Or are you still training? And if you are trained for the fight, what's your training like? Charlotte already said she's working out. I'm telling you that my training has been eating well. I'm trying to build up my immune system internally and externally, taking my vitamins, drinking my water, getting my rest, doubling down on my prayer life in the morning, my prayer and my meditation, practicing what I preach, if you will. I'm trying to do all those things to prepare and train myself for this fight, right? And if you're prepared, are you then preparing others, right? This is what this crew is all about. This is what this conversation, this courageous conversation that connects is all about. It's preparing others. Does no good if you're in a war by yourself, right? Or if you're in a battle and you have no soldiers, no foot soldiers, right? That are you preparing other people? Because here in this conversation, the goal is for us to be fortified, for us to be tenacious, for us to be ready, for us to be prepared, because the second wave is coming. By the way, we also do have one of the most biggest, that's redundant, one of the biggest and most important elections probably of our time is happening November 3rd. I don't want people to underscore that and act as if that's not happening. And quite frankly, that's the day of election, but the election starts before that, because even in the state of Pennsylvania and in Philadelphia region, the early ballots will go out by September 14th. That's less than a week away, less than a week away, September 14th. That means that people can start voting early, either by mail when they get their ballot. They can get the ballot by mail and actually take it in the Philadelphia County, one of the 17 satellite election centers, that's what they're calling them, where you can just turn in your ballot and know that it will be counted. You can also take it to a drop box. I would not suggest that you get your ballot and then take it to the polling centers on November 3rd, because you can take it early. And I don't even think that you can actually do that. If you don't get your ballot, they say that you can vote provisionally on November 3rd, but technically, if you don't get your ballot, you can actually go to one of those satellite election centers and you can get the ballot. They'll take you off the electronic system because you've already gotten it. They will give it to you. You can fill it out there and then you can turn it in. So there are 3 different ways that you actually can vote. There is no excuse for people not to vote. That is the way for us to be prepared for this fight. And actually, quite frankly, it's the form of protest that we all can participate in order to salvage our democracy, in order to save our democracy. Cynthia says, my training includes prayer, relative conversations, awareness, physical strengthening, and social strengthening. I love it. I love that, Cynthia. So what about the rest of our crew? Share your story. And interestingly enough, when I was listening to T.G. Diggs this morning, he was also talking about what happens if you're not prepared for the fight. What happens if you can't, you get just get tired, and you've lost energy. Maybe you've lost some hope. Maybe you've just gotten exhausted. I know, watching these videos and seeing people being assassinated literally, or abused, the suicide rates have gone up, the violence rates are going up. They're up 50% in the urban areas, in particular in Philadelphia. I just watched it yesterday. Up 50% violence. Over the Labor Day weekend, there were over about 30 shootings, and there were about 8 deaths just in Labor Day weekend. Children are getting caught in crossfire. This is exhausting. So we have to engage in a strengthening, if you will, if we feel like we've gotten tired. This is not time to quit, that's for sure. But if we're going to get ready, what are the things that we have to get ready on? Like, there's the fight on the outside, and then there's the fight on the inside. And as I said, all of us are in some kind of fight. Are you fighting? When I ask you the question, what are you fighting? Are you fighting for belief? Are you fighting for endurance? Are you fighting just to hold on or just to survive? But instead of, because you are just surviving, you're not thriving. Are you fighting for your family? Many of us are fighting for the serenity and the sanity of ourselves and our family in the midst of these pandemics, the collision between two pandemics, and it's difficult. All of it is difficult. Cheryl is on. Good morning, Cheryl. Thank you for joining. She says, thank you so much for inspiring this inspiring message. I have the Lord Jesus Christ with me, who started preparing me before the pandemic by having me walk 30 minutes every day to strengthen my body. He called me into a 30-day fast to strengthen my spirit, and he has instructed me to plant a vegetable garden to prepare for food shortages. I pray that everyone will pay attention to the times and draw closer to the Lord, who will guide your steps. Prayer, fasting, and spiritual and physical strengthening. I love it. I love it. And by the way, for our crew, that spiritual strengthening is really important, no matter what your particular religion, right? As we think about our faith, everybody may have a different direction by which they get to their level of faith, by which they get to their particular path of religion. But regardless of what it is, whether you're a Christian, whether you're Buddhist, whether you are Muslim, whether you're Jewish, whatever your faith is, it requires that you get strengthened in it, that you do the necessary things, as Cheryl talked about, to build it up, to build that foundation so that it's strong when it's tested. Because, by the way, we all go through tests. And on the other side is a testimony. And most of us, I dare say all of us, are sometimes in the midst of a mess. But I guarantee you, if you hold on and you fight for it, that your mess will become a message. Cynthia says, you are right. If we are not properly prepared, we will not only endanger ourselves, but also those we love and those we interact with. Absolutely. That's really what it's all about. Because think about this COVID-19, this coronavirus. The one thing that they said specifically, and Dr. Fauci was at took the lead on this messaging, right? That if we don't do our due diligence for ourselves, to do some simple things, to wear a mask, to socially distance, which I know is hard because we are communal people. We like to hug and kiss and touch and all those things. And those things are really important. That's how we were, that is our livelihood. That's how we connect with each other. That's how we attach. But in this particular part of our lives, this pandemic, we need to socially distance. Wear a mask, socially distance, wash your hands. We should have been doing that anyway. But I can tell you, I'm going to go on and be honest, because I believe that truth, trust, and transparency leads to transformational breakthrough. So how many of you all can agree with me? Did everybody, all of the crew, did you wash your hands for like 15 to 20 seconds like the surgeons in surgery do? When you go this way, then you go this way, then you wash each finger, right? Your nails like this, right? Then you go inside like that. Then you do your wrist, and then you rinse it. Did y'all do all of that? Because I know that I didn't do all of that. I washed my hands, but I did not do all of that. I wasn't spraying my feet with Lysol when I came in the door. I wasn't washing off my groceries. It requires another level of intentionality, but it's necessary, right? In order to not just keep yourself safe, but to keep other people that you love safe. I cannot imagine if I were to get this COVID-19 virus and become a super spreader and then hurt or harm somebody that I love who actually is not, who is maybe immune compromised, and then they get very sick or die. That would devastate me. So I try to do my due diligence, and many of us have to do that as well. Cynthia said reception is fine for me. So somebody says my reception wasn't good, I think. Mine is fine in Texas, no connection problem. Okay, good.
That was me asking a question. You have to read that, babe. That was me asking a question.
Oh, okay. My bad.
A producer situation that you didn't really understand.
I was all in a groove and I wasn't paying attention to the signs, so I apologize. So Morgan was asking the question, so I'm reading his sign language, if you will, or not reading it, if you will. So listen, guys, you know, when I think about the endurance and what we're all fighting, I want to make the distinction that there are these external fights if we're going to get ready for the fight, right? And then there are these internal fights. So I want to kind of unpack that for you. I see Dr. Gail, so I got to get ready for her. I need to get ready for her commentary because she's always powerful. Dr. RG, this is what she does. She gets myself and others ready. Oh, talking about me. Okay. I am training the employees on 2 different web days on trauma-informed approaches. The presentation is to get staff ready for the students before returning to school. About 95% of adults, most were already traumatized and now lost family members to COVID-19. Employees need to know how to help them by learning how to communicate, empathize, and support and not judge the reactions which may be associated with past traumas. Gotcha. I think I'm sorry, when it gets long, I think it cuts me off, so I can't actually see the rest of it, Dr. Gail. So sorry, I can't see the rest of it. That's very powerful, and that's great that you're doing that training, Dr. Gail. And I think that here's what I would say about mental health professionals, such as Dr. Gail, such as myself. We have to take care of ourselves, right? Nurses, remember we used to talk when we first started about the essential workers, the doctors and the nurses. And my head comes to mind of a particular doctor in New York who got COVID-19 and went back into the fight before she was ready. She then collapsed and she ended up going back to her family's home and she ended up committing suicide. Now, I don't tell you that story to upset you. I am just saying that people who are strong have weaknesses too. We mental health professionals, medical professionals, people who are in the service industry in terms of helping people, we have saturation points as well, and we have to take care of ourselves. I think what happens is we make ourselves we feel good when we're helping other people, but we need to take our respite, right? We need to figure out how we make sure that we take care of ourselves. The goal is to help them be successful and not be traumatized, not be re-traumatized. That's what Dr. Gail is saying. And I would say something about trauma. Guess what? There's enough trauma to go around. There's enough drama to go around. And I am constantly reminding myself that because I absorb on a daily basis all the trauma and all the drama because of the profession that chose me, that in the morning I bookend my day with mindfulness, meditation, scripture, and prayer. Remember the 4 M's? Billy J said, I skip soap sometimes. Okay. I'm not sure what that means, Billy Joe. But
soap operas.
Soap operas? Okay.
I think she means soap opera. I think that's what she means.
Gotcha.
I guess.
Gotcha. I got you. Okay. Okay. Um, so remember, guys, when we talked about the four M's? I know Billy Joe remembers the four M's. I know many of you others also remember the four M's. Um, you know what? I'm not going to tell you. Somebody tell me what the four M's are, because if you've been on this crew for the last 6 months, you're part of this crew, you should know what the four M's are. And I book in my day with those four M's on the morning and in the evening in order to ground myself, in order to, sort of exhale, if you will. Cynthia says, working at the hospital is stressful during these times. I have to take care of myself, so I recently started taking days off. Great. Extended my weekends to give myself some time. We can't forget about ourselves. Absolutely, Cynthia. We have to have mental health days. When I, again, was listening to TD Jakes, he was talking about these fights that we're in, fights to be a woman in this world that degrades women, fighting to be a man in this world where, men are being assaulted, fighting to be a mother or father in these the days where your children are challenged left and right. So we're in these external fights, and then we're in these internal fights. What are the internal fights? Fear. Fear can paralyze us. It can really put us in a holding pattern. Doubt, insecurity, right? All of our childhood issues that, linger, if you will. A fight to be, quite frankly, consistent and focused on what God has designed us for. Dan Coker said, amen. I'm new to Christ. Hey, thank you, Jan. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you. Please share how you found out about us, and number two, what fight are you in? And what are you fighting? Those particular questions are important for us as we get ready for the fight. There's a number of fights. There's the voting, that's a fight. There's the pandemic that we're fighting, COVID-19. There's the racial unjust that we're fighting. And as I just started saying, there's that internal fight. Are you able to be consistent in the midst of this pandemic? Are you working from home? Do you have insecurities? Are you trying to deal with your children? Are you procrastinating? Are you exacerbated by all the trauma and drama that's going on in the world? Those are pressure points. And in those pressure points, sometimes, as I always say, every pressure point needs a relief valve. Morgan often says, pressure burst pipes. But all of that requires that we build ourselves up. Morgan, you want to share something?
Real quick, I think Jan was referring to the fact that she's new to the crew, so she doesn't know the 5 M's. But I think Mama Scopes is trying to give the 5 M's now. So that was the whole deal. That's why I was going on, because you were continuing, and I was trying to respond to Jan, letting her know that we're going to try to deal with the 5 M's in a second. But I think Mama Scopes has a good take on the 5 M's. You can check it out now.
All right, thank you. All right, so oh boy, okay. So Mama Sco said, mindfulness, motivation, music, and meaningfulness. Close, Mama Stokes. Close. Not quite, but close. She said, oh boy, I'm old. I can't remember. I'm not with my Dr. Argy notes. That's okay. So let's go over it. Mama Stokes tried. I appreciate that. I appreciate the information that she's sharing. That's inspiration. That's the goal of this, right? That's the goal of this crew, to create information that turns into inspiration, that is not just aspirational, but it's motivational, if you will, right? So the bookend and the way that I do this, and I try to get all the people in our crew members to do, is to start out with mindfulness, right? So she got that right. Then meditation. Your mindfulness it grounds you. It keeps you present. Then you go into meditation that kind of sets your intentions of the day and resets your mindset. Then after that, it's movement. Got to move, right? You got to do some jumping jacks, kind of run up and down the steps, get your body moving, get the blood flowing from your parasympathetic nervous system all the way through to the tips of your toes, right? The movement matters, if you will. And if we have blocks, whether it's blocked in your arteries or whether it's blocks in your brain, then you don't have constant flow. So mindfulness, meditation, movement, then meaningful engagement. That is what we're doing now. We are having, as a part of our crew, Connecting Relationships for Epic Wins, meaningful engagement. Is it meaningful because it means something to you? Does it have value? Is it profitable? Can you use it? Does it have a utility? These conversations, I'll be honest, I'll go on and be honest that sometimes I don't believe every engagement is meaningful. And some engagements don't have value to me at all, really, because in some ways, perhaps I just don't either get it or whatever that person is sharing doesn't make sense to me. And I try not to be rude, but I don't engage in a lot of that discourse because I feel like the discourse that I want to engage in is the discourse where by the time we finish, you walk away feeling like you've gotten something from me, and I walk away feeling like I've gotten something from you. So meaningful engagement. It could be prayer, scripture, a song, or whatever. And then the last part of that, the last of the 5 M's is music. Just enjoy some music, meditation music or spiritual music, or it could be music about being in the wilderness. It doesn't really matter. Whatever helps you to feel good, that can be helpful for you to ground yourself. So does that make sense? The 5 M's: mindfulness, meditation, movement, meaningful engagement, and then music. Those 5 things you should, or I would invite you to book in your day with, so that you can ground yourself on the front end of your day and the back end of your day. Yeah, BJ got it. And I think I saw Ty on for a little bit. So welcome, Ty, to the show. I hope you're still on. And I saw your picture. Hey, he said, "What's up, Morgan? I saw your picture of you hanging out at the beach with your beautiful daughter." So that was awesome. Shout out to Ty. I didn't get a chance to watch it because we were out, but he hosted a podcast that specifically is geared towards men, Black men who heal. So that was awesome. BJ, Morgan highlighted BJ, and I'm trying to look for the one: mindfulness, meditation, music, meaningful engagement. Was there another one that BJ did? I don't see it.
BJ was trying to say back to the soap issue. She was saying you asked a question about washing hands for 20 minutes, and she was referring to the fact that she washes her hands with soap, I guess, well, not so much with soap. So that's what the soap reference was with BJ.
Oh, okay, got you. Oh, I didn't make the connection. Yes, we all got. I didn't make the connection about washing hands with soap, but not always. So yes, BJ is right. Let's not rush through that at this point. Something so simple could actually save your life. Think about that. Something so simple, because the truth is, this is what we tell our children. We tell the children, like, if you're raising kids, you're like, one decision could change your life. Usually we're not talking about washing your hands. We're talking about driving intoxicated, or having unprotected sex, or, not studying doing your schoolwork, or hanging with the wrong crowd, those big things. But what if it's something small? Can you imagine one decision to not wash your hands in an appropriate manner with soap and water could actually change your life? That, like, to me, that's mind-blowing. Tyrone says, "I'm here, sis, walking on the boardwalk, getting my food for thought from you and Big Bro." Oh, that's nice. So tell us what boardwalk you're at. And are people socially distancing and wearing masks? I hope they are. And I'm so glad that you're having that daddy-daughter time. I know you're a girl dad. And I also know that you have sons as well. But I think you have one daughter, and she is absolutely beautiful. So I'm glad that you're getting some refreshing, recalibrating respite time. That's awesome. And then Yvette says, "This is so on point." Thank you, Yvette. Yvette Turner. And she wrote it down, the mindfulness, that she does mindfulness, meditation, movement, meaningful engagement, scripture, prayer, wisdom, and music. Awesome. Anybody else? Jan Coker. She said, "Thank you for Yvette said, this is so on point." And then Jan said, "Thank you for the 5 M's, working from home, helping children, grandchildren, ministry, all good things, but so drained, I feel I'm not focused enough on myself." I get it, Jan. I get it. When I tell you, I get it from the top of my head to the tip of my toes. I get what it means to be working from home, to sometimes lose focus, to lose energy. I was actually supposed to be working on a project last night, and I just could not focus. And I thank God that, Morgan kind of, he knew I wasn't going to be focused really, and he didn't press me on it. Now that means that because the project, the timeline is Friday, I'll be up late tonight probably and tomorrow working on it. But I just couldn't. I think what happened, to be honest with you, and I say this to a lot of people, be mindful of what you're taking in, right? Just like you got to be mindful of what you eat, what you put in your mouth, the food and the drink that you put in your mouth. You have to also be mindful of what you put in your head. And I sort of made the mistake of watching a couple of videos that I probably shouldn't have watched. And then I could not refocus my energy. And some of those videos really were distressing with regards to children being abused. I read an article yesterday about a teenage child who was being abused by her parents, and then there was a video and they posted it on Facebook, and it just was very, very disturbing. They did say the child is now with the grandmother, so I was glad to hear that that child is safe. But I thought to myself, what have we become, where we feel like it's okay to abuse children and then videotape it and then put it on Facebook? Tyrone says AC. Oh, he's at AC, and yes, they're wearing their mask, enjoying self-care. Awesome. Darlene says not working from home, but still, I don't know the last word of that. Still something, but it's still something. A lot. Okay. And Yvette says indeed, and Cynthia says absolutely. It's so easy to get distracted, right? Anybody have an issue with procrastination? That's something that we fight too, right? We sometimes fight procrastination. It's interesting. Again, TD Jakes was talking this morning. He said, when you're young, it's a different kind of fight, but you can't escape the fight. When you're young, you're fighting the peer pressure and being youthful and lustful and energetic and sort of confused about whether or not you have the right answers. You're uncertain, and maybe you're paying too much attention to judgment. You think like soon as you get grown, you're going to have it all figured out, and then that's wrong, right? And then when you get older, you're fighting like, how do you deal with all the challenges that you have, and whether you have the job or you don't have a job, or whether or not you have enough money to pay the bills, or whether you can't give up, but at the same time you're tired and depressed and feeling sad. So there's a lot going on. Darlene says probably taking in too much. Absolutely. So boundary that, Darlene. Try to manage your intake. Don't get distracted and so caught up in the sensationalism of the videos that you take in too much, and then it harms you in the long run. Jen says, yes, you are right. Too much negative news. I have to go back to putting myself first. Yes. We all got to put our oxygen mask on first, right? Jen says, God be the glory. Got the job promotion last night. Got on the phone call with my boss saying that when I come back from my injury, I will start my new position as a supervisor at the U.S. Army recruiting office. Awesome, Jen. Woo! Congratulations. So proud of you. And we're praying for you in terms of your speedy recovery as well. Tyrone says, my procrastination is linked to fear, but I'm learning to do everything afraid. I love it. Love it. That's a fight too, right? TD Jakes often says, like, go fearful, like go awkward, go insecure, but go. Don't allow yourself to get in a holding pattern just because you're afraid, or the procrastination keeps you from doing it because you're thinking, is it going to be good enough? Is it going to be right? Am I going to be able to do it in a way that is honorable? Are people going to like it? Will they make fun of me? Like, there are all these negative messages that we have that don't allow us to just move, right? And that puts us sometimes in a holding pattern. I don't know about you all, but I've had this experience happen only one time in my life. I was flying and I was coming home from somewhere, and the plane just started going in a holding pattern. It started going around and around and around, and we didn't know what was going on. And then we looked out the window and we started seeing these little yellow fire engines, and we're like, oh, this is not good. And what it was the actual landing gear was stuck, and so it could have been a disaster. But I really thought about that from a metaphor. What happens if you stay in a holding pattern too long? Eventually the landing gear came down and we did land safely. But what happens if you're in a holding pattern of your life? What happens if you're just going around and around and around because you're so fearful that you can't actually move. You're procrastinating. You end up crashing and burning anyway. So the goal is to do something, figure it out, go anyway. Just go scared, afraid, procrastinating, insecure, but do it. Deborah Reed is on. She says social media is problematic as well. I try to scroll past the negativity. It's overwhelming and depressing. Absolutely. It is. And actually, I think that we need to not just scroll past. Sometimes you need to turn it off. And if you have older people like I do in my family where I can't turn off my phone, I need to know if there's an emergency or something like that. I just have to put it down. It's on. I hear it if it rings, but I put it away so that I'm not compelled to scroll and look at it. Jen says, thanks everybody for it's time to make make moves in times of COVID. I'm truly blessed by God for job employment. Awesome. And then Angelique, hey, good morning, Angelique. She's on. She says, I'm late and have no clue what we're talking about, but yes, don't do it afraid. I'm not saying that I always do it, but but I know you're supposed to, and I have been just fine each time. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Angelique. Here's the thing about doing it afraid. Guess what happens on the other side of it? You realize that your worst fear probably didn't happen. And yeah, there's a 50% chance that it could, but then there's also a 50% chance that it doesn't. And so you'll never know if you actually don't do it. So do it. And guess what? You'll find out. You'll also find out something really great and phenomenal. That's if it actually does happen and you live to tell about it, you now know that you not only have a story to tell, but you have a testimony because you've been through a test and you came out on the other side. Maybe you come out on the other side with some scars. Yes, we've all got scars. Nobody is exonerated from pain. Nobody in this place called Earth and humanity, nobody's exonerated from scars and trauma and drama. But if you actually live to tell about it, like, for example, Jacob Blake, who actually came on air and talked about how much it hurt, but that he was still here and that he was still going to fight. If he can get shot in the back 7 times and lay in a bed and give us a message that he's still going to fight because he has a family that's depending on him and that he's going to continue to use his voice to elevate others, like, come on now. Really, for real? That means we got to do a whole lot too. That says, teach. God wants to reveal so much more. Absolutely. Absolutely. So true. Cynthia says, you can be afraid, but with faith, God provides and becomes the parachute. Absolutely, Cynthia. Early in the beginning, we said that we can turn pain into power when we appreciate the process. And then we can walk in our purpose. We can turn pain into power when we appreciate the process, and then we can walk in our purpose. And none of it happens by accident, quite frankly. There are no coincidences. Only opportunity meets preparation when you learn something from what you've gone through. All right, guys. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back. We're going to give some jewels, as I call them, and then we're going to wrap. So stay with us, okay?
Hi, I'm Dr. R.G. Allen Wilson. You may recognize me as a leading relationship expert for TV programs such as CNN, The Today Show, Good Day Philly, Fox 29, Terman Hall Show, Mel Robbins Show, and local and national radio shows, just to name a few. I want to invite you to a very awesome opportunity that will enhance your life. Having courageous conversations that connect is key for a healthy relationship with ourselves and others. Knowing the right strategies and techniques aren't as simple as we think. There are principles to understanding how we all think and feel. Right now, you can join in my free quarantine talks to learn what others spend thousands of dollars in therapy to know. Each day, while we are in quarantine at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can watch, listen, and learn tips that will help you get through this challenging time in our lives. Here's the good news. There is absolutely no cost for you to participate. Tune in on YouTube, Facebook, and the Gram at Ask Dr. RG. I look forward to seeing you join our crew, and that's connecting relationships for epic wins. Have a beautiful day on purpose, from my heart to yours.
All right, well, crew, this is Dr. RG, yours truly, and we have had a great time with Courageous Conversations, Connect Space Quarantine Talks. Listen, guys, we've been talking all for the last hour about the fight, right? You know, the theme for this week is Fit for the Fight. Today, we've talked about the fight of our lives, getting ready. I want you all to think about, as we go on with our day, are you ready? And if you're not ready for the fight of your life, it's time to get ready. What are the things that you need to do? Please think about that, process that, meditate on that, journal on that. Come back tomorrow. We'll be here at 10 a.m. talking about fit for the fight. But specifically tomorrow, we're going to talk about standing in the gap, getting ready for the fight, but standing in the gap. What is it that you need to get ready, not only for the previous fight, but the previous fight is done. What did you learn for the next fight? Because there's always going to be a next fight. We're either moving into a storm, we're in the middle of a storm, or we're moving out of a storm. And so if you guys are interested, or you know someone that's interested in therapeutic intervention, feel free to give us a call at 215-789-6999. You can reach us at contact us at connectionsmatterllc.com. Make sure that you share this post with someone else, tag a friend, let them know our crew is on here. We stand for connecting relationships for epic wins. We're here every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 10 a.m. We have a great time. We have a good conversation. We laugh, we cry, we breathe, we pray, and we basically talk and support one another in these trying times. We are in trying times, and we do need to prepare ourselves for the fight. So think about that for tomorrow. Know that I love you. Morgan loves you. There is nothing that you all can do about it. If no one else told you that they love you today, know that we love you, and we're praying for you, and we're breathing with you. Have a beautiful day on purpose from our hearts.